Boom! I'm back. It's crack. Sweet baby Jesus. We're doing another commentary for the first time in possibly a year plus. Um, it's an unusual thing for me to be doing, considering I've never done any form of commentary over a Rainbow Six gameplay. However, some new information has dropped in terms of the Season 3 DLC that is meant to be getting released, well, specifically getting released on August 2nd, which is next Tuesday. So just over 8 days from now, give or take. It being Monday today, depending on when I upload this, whether or not it's later on tonight. Regardless, I want to talk about some things because, well, for the most part, typically I'd maybe just speak about this while I was streaming or something like that. But I feel like I wanted to compile my thoughts and discuss a couple of the operators and their abilities and skills that are coming and why I think they're interesting and at the same time might be a hindrance and a potential game breaking implementation, but at the same time just generally get out the information and discuss a few of the things that are coming with this season 3 DLC update. So I don't know how long this is going to be. I know the gameplay in the background is like 19 and a half minutes or so, and I might run over, I might not run over, but I particularly chose this gameplay just because it is a long game, and well, it will let me get through everything hopefully without too many problems. But basically, we're just going to go right into it. Enough wasting time. Enough procrastinating. We're going in. So basically, the new DLC that's coming out is going to be called Skull Rain. It's based around the Brazilian special police called the BOP. I cannot pronounce their name in Brazilian because it's all in Brazilian. It's like Policia. I don't know. I don't speak Brazilian. Long story short, there's obviously going to be two operators again, an attacker and a defender. One of the names is Caveira. The second name is Capital. Caveira being the defensive operator and Capital being the attacking operator. But basically, they're all from the BOP, or both from the BOP, I should say. And this was never really going to be a surprise. It's obviously one of the more documented CTUs coming out of Brazil. I do believe Brazil have their own special forces military regiment, whereas the BOP are more law enforcement based, as well as, I suppose, counter-terrorist operations and whatnot. But they basically step in and do above and beyond what the standard police of Brazil can't do. And basically, it's one of the more publicized and recognized CTU units coming out of Brazil. There's films about them, Elite Squad and Elite Squad 2, Enemy Within. And, whenever you're seeing a foreign film that's maybe come from Brazil and you see, like, special police and they're wearing, full-on black fatigues and they've got the black beret on and stuff like that, it's usually them. They're recognizable. Probably what they're going to be depicted as in Siege as well, with the typical all-black fatigues and the black beret and whatnot. So basically, the first thing that I want to note as well is, supposedly, according to this article, they are both female operators, which I personally don't have a problem with. Maybe other people have a problem with it. Last DLC, the Dustline DLC, people had a problem with Valkyrie being from the Navy SEALs, and they had this huge kind of debacle where it's like no females have been accepted into the Navy SEALs and whatnot. And like me personally, I'm not really bothered. I could see where they were going with it. Maybe they were kind of going with a bit of a G.I. Jane thing, with that film kind of depicting it. Not that she resembles Demi Moore in any way, shape, or form, but Ubisoft have got a kind of knack for taking, depictions in certain mediums, whether or not it's films or TV, and then turning it in, or real life, and then turning it in to their operators in game, whether it's the SAS with the black fatigues and gas masks, or Blackbeard or, like I said, Valkyrie. Regardless, long story short, that they're both going to be female. So basically, Kavera is the defensive operator. I'm probably butchering the name. I think it's like Kavera or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting it wrong, maybe not. She basically possesses an ability called Silent Step that allows her to sneak up on enemies, whether or not this is a temporary thing or not. I doubt it'll be triggered for extensive, amounts of time. But it allows her to be silent, sneak up on enemies, and then basically incapacitate them, whether it's restraining them or whatnot, and then interrogate them to reveal teammates' locations. Well, the teammates' locations of the person who's obviously being restrained and interrogated. So, she's a defender. She has an ability to go completely silent. She can then incapacitate and restrain attackers to gain information on other attackers' locations. Now, I wouldn't technically call myself the most well-informed player of Siege, but I know a lot. I play the game a lot. It's kind of my bread and butter at the moment. I enjoy the living fuck out of that game, and I've always been intrigued by the special forces and especially counter-terrorism situations. However, the idea to me sounds interesting, but I see a huge amount of potential backlash in terms of how relevant this will be, how overpowered some people might perceive it, or if it's just implemented poorly. I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't trust Ubisoft to potentially implement this correctly. It's just more than anything, I have a severe problem with allowing one operator to be able to identify the location of every single other attacking operator just from interrogating one person, and how that could potentially be implemented. Granted, it's a game, right? But in terms of realism, I struggle to really comprehend how they're going to do it, because to me, I think they're going to do it as an almost instantaneous, you somehow get behind an operator. I don't know, maybe you knock him out, maybe you just like instantly get him in a like some kind of a police lockhold or whatever. I don't know what you call it. When you restrain around behind the back, restrain him, drop him down on the floor, whatever it may be, and then you'd basically interrogate him, which is a long process. I see them implementing it in this game with it happening within a couple of seconds, which to me seems pretty cheap for learning the rough locations of all the other attacking operators, which is such a variable thing to really divide across all of the maps, because on larger maps, maybe not so much of a problem. On the smaller maps, Hereford or House, will it even be viable to use this operator to be able to get behind an enemy, because it's not as frequent that flanks happen on smaller maps such as House or Hereford. Also, if this does happen, will that be a completely unbalanced kind of ability to have and be able to exploit in a way that's maybe in more of an aspect of the game which is kind of a bit more controversial, such as running outside the map and shooting people, or whether or not they're on a roof or rappelling, or it's kind of a bit controversial per se. But for the most part, it seems as though it's going to be another roaming operator, which so far I'd say maybe 2 out of the 3 have been roaming. Valkyrie is 100% a free roaming operator used for flanks and tactical striking from the blind side of the attackers, as well as maybe Frost so much where you can kind of put down your traps in obscure places and then free roam, but maybe not as much. Maybe Frost could be determined as more of a defensive operator around the objective play, surrounding objective play, sorry. But as far as Caveira is concerned, definitely seems like it's going to be once again another free roaming operator, and two, just potential. Because what you've got to understand, right? Even if it's not a constant flow of information updating where the attackers are coming from, you still have a relative idea where they're going to be, which to me seems pretty cheap and kind of within a disdain for the game itself, with it being super tactical and using your senses and team communication, and it kind of just pisses all over that in a sense, I feel, because it's like the situation where you do incapacitate somebody, you interrogate them, you know where all the other attackers are. One's over here in this room. Right, well, there's no way out of this room, so he's still going to be in there. Or this person's rappelling along the outside of this wall. It's updated maybe, I don't know, 3 times within 30 seconds or something like that. You still know he's outside that wall. It's just, it's a struggle. And basically, the over presiding point is when you add something to the game which has an ability such as this, which hasn't been a game mechanic in the base, like the base building, the base, like the ground core of the game, and you add something like this, which doesn't have a counter, it poses a problem. Most of the operators in the game are completely balanced because they all have counters, with a few variables, obviously. But the fact of the matter is, something like this being released as a DLC without any potential word of a counter for it seems a bit, I just say, just a bit illy planned or poorly thought out, I guess you could say. So, I mean, I honestly don't want to pass judgment too soon. I'm just saying, the fact of the matter is, to release something like this with the ability for somebody to go silent, which isn't really the problem, but so much of the interrogation incapacitating a attacker and then learning the locations of other attackers based on that, without having a counterpart to balance that out, doesn't seem plausible, especially if they implement it in an unrealistic manner with the situation of, oh, it's over in a couple of seconds. Because if you put it like this, realistically, say this happens, you incapacitate, interrogate an attacker, you're going to literally have to stand there and wait for this person to get on their comms, call out to the other attackers, and then, you know, it's annoying me kind of thinking about it, but then reiterate the information back to the incapacitated attacker, saying where you are, which is going to be a long process. Not as in the meta of the game where it will be, you will know where all of your friendlies are at all times because you can see a little name above their head around the map. So if it's, I don't know, I kind of, I don't, like I said, I don't want to pass judgment, and it's kind of annoying me, and I think I made my point clear, but it's kind of hard to really stress the point without physically experiencing it hands-on, and then maybe making the point, because you don't know how well it's balanced, and there's a lot of details that are still left unknown. So basically, that's my point. Like, I feel if implemented poorly, it could be a really bad aspect or game mechanic to add to the game. So, I mean, basically that's all I've got to say. I guess I'll move on to the weapons of Caveira real quick. Obviously, being the silent step operator, I guess you'd call it from now on. It's also weird that I just want to add quickly as well. It's also weird that it's the first time they're actually adding a new game mechanic specifically revolving around one operator. It's the first time this is happening, which is basically another sign that Ubisoft is trying to take, steps in changing the game, which usually, if history serves, well, it serves me right, or the game right, or the developers right, I guess you could say, um, could either go horrifically wrong or be implemented perfectly and be a massive game changer and work cohesively with the game mechanics that are already in place. But, with a massive change like this, it's either going to go one or two ways: horrifically wrong or perfectly implemented. And there'll basically be no middle ground because the opinions of people and, the subjective opinions of people will change. People will be on. I doubt people will be on the fence, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, moving on. Her arsenal includes, reading straight from the article right now, an M12. So it's going to be a battle rifle of sorts, which is wait, no. What the fuck is an M12? I have just realized something massively fucked up with this. An M12 is. I was thinking an M14. So I was thinking it was going to be another assault rifle or another kind of battle rifle. Apparently not. Well, I guess I'll move on to the next one. She's obviously going to have another SPAS 15 shotgun, which could be whatever. I mean, I don't know. We all know my opinions of shotguns right now. Alright, so I'm looking at an M12. Never mind, I just googled it. It's that weird looking gun from like World War II, and it's made in Italy by Beretta. Made in like 1959 to present. It's basically a short stock. Looks like it already has a foregrip built into it, so that'll be interesting how it's implemented. It's a short stock SMG, fires 19 millimeter, 9 times 19 millimeter, 9 millimeter, whatever. Take your pick, whatever. I was getting really confused right now. I just had a massive lapse of thought and just thought they were going to be adding a fucking M14 as a defender. I don't know why. Anyway, I digress. I maybe should have researched that. Idiot, I know. Obviously a SPAS 15 as well as the shotgun, which I already mentioned, and then the PRB 92 as a secondary, which is, it's a pistol. I mean, what else do you need to know? She's obviously going to have a nitro cell as well, and barbed wire for potential gadgets. That's basically all I'm going to say about Caveira, because I'm running out of time. Knew it was going to take a while discussing Caveira. Anyway, Capitão, he carries a tactical crossbow that can fire asphyxiating bolts that burn oxygen within a certain radius, which I'm assuming will be like smoke, but without the yellow piss smoke everywhere. So it's kind of a balancing factor that they're adding in. So if you're within this radius, you'll probably see some kind of gas, but it won't obscure your vision. And you're going to take, obviously, damage from it if you're within that radius, so you've got to get out of it. So it's kind of like an anti-camping device is the way I'm seeing it. As well as also having some form of smoke grenade crossbow bolt, which apparently will mask. Well, obviously, you know what a fucking smoke grenade is. It's going to mask your movements, according to the article and whatnot. And then once again, he's going to have the, the PRB 92 as a secondary pistol. Also worthy to note that it will be frags and stun grenades as the gadgets for Capitão, which I think is interesting. It makes sense though, because they remove fucking thermite grenades, and I literally said that the only reason to do that is if they're going to add more DLC operators with grenades, because currently there's only one core operator who has grenades, being Sledge, and then Buck. Blackbeard doesn't, and now Capitão does, so there'll be 3 attacking operators that have the ability to carry grenades. The primary weapons, which I think I missed out, which I didn't mention, which is kind of good that I left it till last, will be an M249 SAW, which is always hype, as well as a Para 308, which, if my memory serves me correct, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's probably going to be some form of a marksman rifle. However, it's worthy to note that all of the other marksman rifles that they've added to the game so far, I believe, have fired 7.62. I don't think they've ever had a a marksman rifle added that fires a high caliber round like a 308, almost comparable to a sniper rifle per se. Um, and I will just have a little Google of this right now. And yes, all right, okay. So it's basically a gun that has been renowned for the BOP to be using, and it's basically a FAL, which is strange. But I think it's a different variant of a FAL because Buck technically already has a FAL. I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to be a marksman rifle. It's probably not going to be an assault rifle with automatic fire of sorts. Anyway, I've run out of fucking gameplay. So that's basically me discussing the operators. Defensive operator, I see issues if implemented poorly. Attacking operator, I don't have a problem with the attacking operator whatsoever. I'm assuming his crossbow bolts will be countered by Jaeger. More of a reason to use Jaeger. I ain't got no problem with that. No problem whatsoever. Balanced within the ecosystem of the game. Caveira, not so much. Not so much, if at all. I guess some quick points that I'll just rattle off, which also will be coming in this DLC, even though I'm like 2 minutes over, but I guess I'll just wrap it up anyway, because this was going to be a long video. Operation School Rain will obviously have a new map. It's obviously going to be a favela. This has not been news to anybody. Apparently the map's going to be more destructible than any other map so far, which is interesting, I guess you could say, but I mean, it would make sense being a favela and, a very unstable structure, I guess you could say, and poorly constructed, per se. But it was always going to be a favela, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think anybody was doubting this. Well, anybody that didn't know about the BOP and whatnot. The BOP. Also, there'll be, another, set of patch notes with a list of tweaks and improvements that are made. One of the most standout tweaks or implementations, I guess you could say, modern tweaks, is they're adding a tactical realism custom game mode, which is only a custom game mode, but it sounds like a hardcore game type that's only playable in custom game modes. So who gives a flying fuck is the presiding point. Don't care. On top of that, one of the other bigger tweaks is that they'll be adding a new angled grip attachment, which is obviously going to be an attachment, and I'm assuming it's going to be for all of the operators, and this probably falls in line with what they did, with the flash hider, making it more prevalent and more stable with short bursts of fire rather than what the compensator does with making it more stable with prolonged rates of fire and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see, but basically it's going to make the transition between hipfire and ADS much faster, creating a faster paced style of combat. So you're probably going to see this a lot more on SMGs, and I've always been a fan of firing from the hip. Not advantageous in all situations, but I do it. Probably more frequently than a lot of other people do it. So I mean, it's interesting. Can't say it's not interesting. And then they've added a new surrender system, which means that people can basically forfeit throwing a towel in ranked, which is whatever. I don't know. And that's basically it. So basically, this releases on August 2nd for all the Season Pass holders, a week before it's released to the general public. Next Tuesday. Write it down, mark it in your calendars, whatnot. More details will be released this Saturday at 3 a.m. Central European time, which is basically 2 in the morning, while the Rainbow Six Pro League is doing some bullshit. Yeah, they're doing something. It's the final or something. I don't know who's it for, or who it's for, sorry, whether or not it's Xbox or PC. I know Xbox is in Cali, or San Diego or some shit, I don't know. And then PC's in Europe somewhere, and I don't know which one it is. It's on the Rainbow Six channel, Saturday, 3 a.m. Central European time. The full reveal. So, that's when we'll get like a big chunk of information, even though we basically already had this information leaked beforehand. putting that into different times will basically mean it will be 9 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Western, and like Australian time. I don't know. Shit. Like, I don't know. 12 in the afternoon or something on Sunday. I don't know. I ain't no fucking worldwide clock. I know the central. Well, I know Eastern time and Western time are correct, and then UK time being 2 a.m. and Central European time being 3 a.m. are all correct. The Australian one, not so much. But on that bombshell, I am getting the fuck out of here. I will link one of the articles, hopefully, even though they've got removed. This is why another reason why I'm doing this is because all of this information is going to be taken away. They've already taken it down because they released it unintentionally, I believe, or incorrectly at the wrong time or something. There's a few articles circulating still where you can look at this information. So I'll probably link it in the description below. Maybe the Reddit page. Long story short, enough procrastinating. I've gone like 6 minutes over. What the fuck? I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm out!